Okay, so for multi-step equations, to solve them, you would use the distributive property. So this is when you're going to start using the distributive property to do some term combining and solving equations. So with this one, we're going to start talking about combining like terms and wrapping in the distributive property with it. Okay? Okay, steps to solving equations. Number one. Well, why isn't this doing? Let's reset it. This is the first step we talked about. The difference you will notice, it says combine like terms on the same side. We looked at the other slides. We talked about having, there was an expression on one side, but the other side was just a constant. What we're going to start looking on is when we have expressions on both sides. So you'll have a variable on both sides, you'll have operations on both sides, and what you do when you what you do with those. So you start by combining like terms on each side separately. Okay? Part 2 is you're going to be isolating the variable using PEMDAS. So we're going to be using PEMDAS, we're going to be using properties in order to find a way to isolate the variable. We will undo addition and subtraction on both sides. So in this one, it won't just be having a constant on one side that you're going to be adding or subtracting. You're going to be having to make some decisions based on what is on each side. Yes? That has to do with isolating the variable. Okay? Well, I'll show you when we get there. I'm going to keep it for a while. Then you want to undo the multiplication division on each side, and then you're going to solve for a. Okay, so let's look at a problem. If we have the equation 2c plus, when you look at this problem, you should be seeing a difference from the problems we did before until now. What is the difference in the problems we did in the last video until this video? There are two variables. Not two different variables, two of the same variables. In this case, you have 2c plus 12 equals 78. So this is where, when you look at the steps, we talk about combining like terms. Like terms, they mean, is this c and that c are the same terms. They're both the variable c, so you're going to combine them. Sophie? Yes. The 2c, and remember that's 1c, so your first step in combining like terms is putting those together. So under this line, I would have 3c plus 12 equals 78. So that's where combining like terms come in. This should be in your Cornell notes as an example. I'm looking at Morgan's. She has arrows. She's saying this is what it means to combine like terms. So when we talk about combining like terms, that's what it means. Can you add like terms and subtract like terms? Yes. You can add and subtract like terms. Then we get down to a problem, an equation that we've seen before, right? That looks exactly like the two-step equations that we've seen. So I want you to go ahead and finish solving that one. Okay, so when you go through and you solve it, just like before, when you do the checks on these, you take what you have for x and you will insert it into the original equation. Remember, always go back to that original equation. So your check would look like 2 times 22 plus 22 plus 12 equals 78. 2 times 22 is 44, plus 22 plus 12 equals 78. 66 plus 12 equals 78, and you get 78 equals 78. Check. Yes. That's a whole nother thing. Okay, so this one, what are you noticing about this one? What's the first thing you should notice when you're looking at an equation? This one has what again, Jack? 2 variables on one side, 2 of the same variables. So then you automatically know you do what step first? Combine like terms. You're going to take your 4b and you're going to combine it with 2b on the left side. Okay? Now, can I rewrite it like this. Why can't I rewrite it like that? What is my reasoning? What mathematical rule lets me do that? What mathematical rule? The commutative property allows me to do that. And yes, I would do this as my next step. My next step would not be 6b plus 16. My next step would be rewriting the equation into the way I'm going to combine the like terms. Then I'm going to combine them in the next step. Yep. And so my next step would look like what? Chloe. Okay, and then we're down to a problem that we recognize. So our next step with this would be doing what? George? And I would get what? I would get 6b equals 30. My next step would be what, Levi? And then I would have b equals 5. And then I would go through the check. Remember, with the check, you take your solution and you put it into the original equation. So it would be 2 times 5 plus 16 plus, oops, that's 4 times 5 plus 2 times 5 equals 46. Well, that's why you go through it. So here, 4 times 5 is 20, plus 16, plus 10 equals 46. Now this one, I may not do every single step because I've got tens. I don't need to. I mean, I could clearly see that's 30 plus 16, 46 equals 46. And that's fine if you did. If you did, that's good. Then you're extra positive, you're constant. Okay, so a couple differences. We have our two variables again. We are subtracting variables this time, and our variables are on the right side. Does it matter? No. Do we just flip it? No. You just solve it as though it's on the right side. Okay, it doesn't matter which side you're solving it. You still follow the exact same procedures. And there's three different operations. We have a combination of subtraction and addition and multiplication. Okay? There's two multiplications. All right, so step one is to do what? We want to? Step before that is? Jonathan? Combine like terms. Now, combining like terms is subtraction is still combining like terms. It's not always addition. So in this one, we would do what, Charlie? We would do 4m minus 2m, which is 2m plus 1. Okay? Next step would be doing what, Sophie? Well, yes, it's write the original equation. It depends. If you have it on a worksheet, you don't have to rewrite it. If you're transferring it, yes, that is step one. And that's just giving you extra practice of always rewriting the equation. So when you're in the lab and we're taking a math test and that's a problem, it's that practice is you rewrite the original and then you double check your original. Okay? Okay, what's our next step here? Subtract 1 from both sides. We get 2m equals 6. Our next step is divide by 2. M equals, and you would leave it like this. You do not need to flip it. It can stay 3 equals m. You just work with it backwards. And if you notice when I do it, I then work backwards. I didn't do divide 2 over here first, and I wrote subtract 1 over here first. So in my head, I just flip what I do too. It works better. Then you do your check. 7 equals 4 times 3, not plus, minus 2 times 3 plus 1. 7 equals 12 minus 6 plus 1. 7 equals 6 plus 1. 7 equals 7. Check.